All right, let's talk about what we saw yesterday. Foot Locker and Abercrombie, both of them skew to a younger demographic, but at very different price points. We saw Foot Locker drop by more than 20%, Abercrombie rise by more than 20%. What can we read from these reports about the consumer?
Well, overall, I think Foot Locker and Abercrombie are two different stories, and they're both at a different stage in where they are in their story. So you have Foot Locker that is just starting to work on its turnaround plan. Mary Dillon has been there for it's coming up to a year, and her plan is just starting to set in place. However, she's coming in at a time where it's very difficult for the sneaker market. So first of all, you have the sneaker market really coming into normalization in this year. We have lifestyle sneakers really setting back, but you have performance doing better. Then as well, she has the having to redo a lot of the platforms. So again, coming up against a weaker consumer, their core consumer is the low income consumer, which has been hit earlier this year, and we've seen it. So having this turnaround, even there are some good ideas in place, it's very difficult to get that ramped up very quickly. And when you look at Abercrombie, there's a different story there. So their turnaround plan has been taking some time. However, they are up against weak figures year over year, but they are benefiting that they've leaned into more core items, which we've seen that to be a success story across many brands. So when you talk about core items, you're looking at classics. So t-shirts, denim has been doing fairly well. And when you lean into that, you have better inventory and healthier inventory. You're not likely going to have to put that on markdown if it's not moving and be that aggressive with it. Also, because of that, you have more pricing power, so you can deal with better margins. And as you saw with Abercrombie across the board, they did do pretty well. So again, a little bit of two different stories, one just starting the turnaround, one having placed a lot of this in the turnaround. However, one also, Abercrombie, they are benefiting. It is a back to school season. We've already started with that.
I want to ask you about a big theme this retail season. I'm talking about shrink. That's largely associated with theft. Just yesterday, we heard Dick's mention it for the first time. We've also heard Brian Cornell from Target talk about it repeatedly. How big of an issue is this for investors, near term and long term?
So what we're seeing is, like you said, Dick's just came up with the word shrink, and the first time that they're being affected by that. We have heard shrink across many retailers throughout the year. So we started really seeing it at the end of last year into the first quarter. Now we're seeing into the second quarter. And from what Target really talked about is they will anniversary, but it doesn't mean that it's going away. And you have to understand the consumer is being hit by a lot. So there's inflation, there's rising energy costs. They're dipping into their savings that have pretty much dried up, and now they're going into their credit. And they're not necessarily paying off that credit like we heard from Macy's. So the consumer's having a difficult time. So that is on the rise, and it's at the most that we've seen. So,
so Jessica, I just want to look ahead right now. Gap, Nordstrom, and also Ulta Beauty reporting today. Is there one that you think will be especially telling about the consumer? Or is there one that you expect to be better than the others?
Tough crowd on this one. I would say Ulta might have a better chance. The consumer is still spending on beauty. You have to see that the consumer, when it's a tough time, they will spend on beauty. However, Ulta has been hit by shrink. We've seen that without the quarter, and there might be more of a promotional cadence. And we've seen compared to last year, again, it's a competitive environment out there, and you want to make sure that you're not having excess inventory like we did late last year, early this year. So they're really trying to keep ahead. With Nordstrom, even though they have Rack doesn't compete with the likes of Ross and the likes of TJX that are very strong players in the off-price sector. Again, the consumer really trading down because of everything that they're being hit with. Okay. With Gap, it's been a difficult story. I think what we're hoping for is the new CEO coming in to really turn around, bring some of these transferable skills from Mattel over to Gap, just because it has been a revolving door with Gap, and we really haven't seen any green shoots come from any of their plans.